Good morning, everybody. Kid Cummings back in the Power Peace Studios down on the square in Marietta. We concluded our 40 Sermons in 40 Days series this past Saturday. And I tell you, it's been a wonderful ride to be with you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in and joining us. A lot of people ask, man, what are we going to do next? And so this is the answer. At Mondays at 9 o'clock right here in the studio, I'm going to be launching a new series. It's a weekday series, 9 a.m. live, and it's called Inspire Your Power. Inspire Your Power. You see, everything that we need, we already possess. Everything our Creator gave us to have life and health and happiness, be happy, joyous, and free, it lives inside. But we live in a culture where everybody reaches outside to try to heal things that are on the inside. And we wonder, where's our joy? Where's our power? A couple of questions. Do you have a hard time following through on things that you say you're gonna do? You sincerely say it, we all do. It's like, man, I'm gonna change this. Finally, we get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then 7, 10, 14 days in, we just lose our drive. Do you have a hard time with an idea? Do you have a hard time with your creativity? Ideas are supposed to flow straight from the source, and if we have an open mind, we catch them. And then the first one to go to market with it, meaning put it into your life, wins. But there's got to be fuel on the inside. There's got to be inspiration to drive that idea. Do you ever have a great idea and say, man, I'm going to do that? And maybe you write it down and you say, tomorrow I'm going to launch that. And tomorrow never comes because the nudge was there. The inspiration did its work. The idea arrived, but there wasn't any fuel. Man, do you ever feel like in the middle of the day, your fuel just lags and you get into that, oh man, you start thinking about the end of the day? These are all signals that there's a power problem. There's a fuel problem. It's kind of like when back in the old day, when we had dial-up internet. You remember that? Forever and ever ago. And we had to wait. We'd dial the number and then there was that weird and we'd sit there and wait as long as it took to get that connection. But then the connection was very slow. There was a disconnect from satellite to tower to phone into your reality. And so what we want is high-speed internet. We want 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G. Get it quicker, man. We live in a quick society. We want things to change fast. And yet it's not always like that. Because if you've got a fuel problem, if you've got a connection, dial-up speed relationship with the divine, it's not sustainable. And I've been there before, man. Going on willpower, it'll only take you so far. Going on just, man, I'm gonna reach down, I'm just gonna work harder, I'm gonna be more disciplined. It only goes so far. But when you're inspired, man, that can last a lifetime. Inspiration is the flame. It's the you. It's that golden ball of light that's creative. It's always on. It's never tired. It never lacks ideas. It never lacks energy. The soul is connected straight to the source, but then it's covered up with this humanity. This series, Inspire Your Power, is how do you light the fire, the little, pilot light that's inside of you to give you the life of your dreams. At 9 a.m. here in the office, in the studio, I'm going to be blasting just little 7, 8, 10-minute messages. And what I hope is that you'll stop by or check it on later in the day and just get in and get your little nugget for today. As always, I'm going to have my buddy Roots here, man. He's my riding partner. And we'll pick a subject. Today, imagination. Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge. One of the most brilliant minds that the human race has ever witnessed was Albert Einstein. And they asked him, what is your greatest gift? And they thought he would say it, intellect, IQ, my brain power, whatever it is. And he said, I'm passionately curious. He's the one that said, I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are just details. And so his whole life was drawn to know, how did our Creator create all this stuff? And what's the key to understand and to create a theory of everything? And Einstein was famous. He was a patent clerk. He wasn't even a scientist. He wasn't accepted in the scientific community. They didn't take him serious. just a little Swiss patent clerk. But he would sit in his office and there was a clock tower that he could see and a little train station. And all day long the trains would go by and he'd see that clock tower. And Einstein was famous for what he called thought experiments. And so he would sit there in his mind's eye and he would ask this question: if I were God, how would I do it? When he was trying to unravel a problem like time and space and light and gravity and, this weird quantum field. This is back in the early 1900s, 1920, 1930. He wrote his first groundbreaking paper in 1905. He was so far ahead of his time. And he did it with his imagination. That's what's phenomenal about this. You've got these amazing theoretical physicists, mathematicians that are trying to do the math. The universe is all a math equation, and much like a song. It operates like a stringed instrument on frequencies and energy. And he wanted to unlock it. And so he would do thought experiments. And for hours, he would sit there and he would just think. And he'd focus on solutions. And he'd look at the clock tower and he'd say, okay, what if the train going by it was going the speed of light? What would happen to time? And he would just crank on it for as long as it took. And then once he had it figured out in his mind, it must be true, he would take it to the mathematicians. They would say, man, I don't even know what you're talking about. And he would say, work it out. And sure enough, Uncle Albert was typically right. So we have this thing called an imagination that our Creator gave us. And it separates us from every other living creature. Living creatures operate on instinct. They're always trapped in the present moment and they operate with instinct. They just know what to do because it's in their DNA, all the wisdom of the universe. We have the same thing, but he's given us this brain, this amazing 2 million year old device that's able to do, be, have, create, invent, discover, achieve, take you wherever you want to go, be whatever you want to be, do whatever you want to do right here. And one of the most important, if not the most important things that it can do, it can see into the future things that have not been yet. It's how everything's been created. It's how we got to the moon. It's how they're creating artificial intelligence as we speak. The greatest minds in the world are imagining solutions. The first act of creation is imagination. A dream starts in the heart. It travels to the head. Now this is a time to manufacture it. The first step is you've got to see what it is that you want to achieve, be, discover, create, invent, build. Without imagination, how do you even start if you don't have an end goal in mind? But we have this amazing gift that's just like God to be able to create with our minds. You have that ability today. But the question is, how are you going to use that very valuable asset, this tool you have? Today, you will use your imagination. Today, you will meditate. You're going to fixate on things that are going to grab your mind's attention, and you're going to begin to visualize, because that's what the brain does. It's a learning machine. It's a storyteller, and it creates habits and patterns, but most of all, it looks forward to what your desire is. Now, I'm going to ask you, as we get ready to wrap up this short first session, today you get to choose what is going to get your imagination's attention. Now check this. If I'm just tapped in on drama today, man, what are the numbers? What's going on with the pandemic? Well, are we going to be locked down? Are we opening up? Are we going back to the free world? You know, these things that are scary, looking at our bank account, looking at our health. Every time we have a little cough or a sneeze, you know, we get worried. I'm thinking about touching everything. I mean, it's crazy. Touch a doorknob, you know, everything. The mail comes, got to spray it. All right, it's hard to get away from this thing. And so our imagination, if we're not careful, it's not focused on our dreams. It's focused on our nightmares. And understand this. I call the brain Uncle G. Uncle G is the original Google. He's the original GPS. If you let him, he'll be the original gangster, and he'll run your day-to-day. He'll tell the stories he wants to tell, and he'll have that voice in the head that's the same as it was yesterday. So many people in today's world are going to have the same 40 or 50,000 thoughts today that they had yesterday. They're going to see the same people. They're going to have the same conversations. They're going to unknowingly have the same thoughts, the same 10,000 words come out of their mouth. And so we regurgitate yesterday's material and expect today to be different, which is crazy. First, we got to start with imagining the thing that you desire. Imagine your greatest self today. Imagine the job of your dreams. Imagine being able to travel wherever you want. Imagine having the marriage that you always dreamed of. Imagine your kids the way that you want them to be and see it until it becomes. Imagine your bank account the way that it would give you the kind of freedom that you want to have, to be, do, and have. Imagine the life of your dreams. Imagine you physically the way you want to be. Imagine your eyes shiny and bright the way that you want them to be. Imagine your day-to-day before you even live it the way that you want it to be. Write down the goals and the dreams you have and review them, and Uncle G will begin to imagine them the way you want them to be. But you got to practice. This takes practice because it takes mental toughness, discipline. But it all goes back to what we started with. Do you have the fuel in the tank? One of the ways to spin your energy up and get a high vibrational frequency, which is clarity, sharpness, ideas, creativity, good relationship, communicating effectively, all that is yours naturally. It's just covered up with a bunch of gunk. And the first place we got to go is deep inside. Imagination can take you out of right here, right now. It's an ability throughout the day to tap into the source and get you a little energy jolt and get you off of the problems. Start focusing on solutions. Start dealing with the problem of worry. Imagination today is your most powerful gift. I want you to relook at your goals and your business plan. Look at your calendar today. And I want you to imagine the perfect day and then let Uncle G get involved in taking you there. See, if you track where you're going and keep the destination clear, you'll know when you get off track, and then it's easy to bring it right back. It's more fun to focus on what you want. It's more powerful to focus on what you want. But check this. Lastly, if you give your brain drama all day long, it will find more drama. If you feed it bad news all day long, it'll find more bad news. If you let the media program your voice in the head, it will tell stories about drama all day. And then you get stuck in that place. Why don't I ever finish what I start? Man, how come I can't move on that idea? Man, why don't things happen for me? And again, we're imagining a worst case. Man, I'm with you. Let's get together every morning at 9 just for a little power pack time together. And let's dream the life that we want to live. Be like Uncle Albert. Use your imagination today. Knowledge will flow from it. Energy will flow from it. Your physical health will flow from it because it is the source of your inspiration, creativity. We are artists. Let's paint a picture today. Love you guys. I'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. All these little short power-packed messages will be there. Until I see you again, inspire your power today. Wake it up. It's the real you. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.